Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to make a gown that has a flay down and flay at the chest region. So the materials we're working with is our tape, our scissors and our chalk. So let's get on with it. You start by folding your fabric into two. Then you get your full length. After folding your fabric into two, you place your tape at the shoulder region. That's the beginning of the fabric, and get your length, the full length you want to work with. Okay, so please, if this is your first time of seeing this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share, or save to watch later. Okay, so when you have gotten your full length, with your chalk you give your straight line. Okay, so I'm going to improvise with something else. I'll use that as my ruler. Okay, I'm just improvising because I couldn't find my straight ruler. So you give your straight line just like I'm doing so. Okay, so let me tell you something. You know, when you subscribe on YouTube, nobody actually knows how many people you're following or you're subscribed to. It's not like Facebook and Instagram where you have to see your number of followers. So why not subscribe? Okay, so let's continue. So the next measurements we are going to get is our under bust. You place your tape at the shoulder side. That's the beginning of the fabric. That's where I'm referring as shoulder. You get your under bust. Again, you give a straight line like I'm doing so. If you don't have ruler, you can also improvise. If you have ruler, good and fine. Then from your shoulder again, you get your hip base. Hip base is where the flay will start from. Okay, so the hip base I'm working with is 28 inches. Okay, the hip base is when you place your tape at the shoulder, you take it all the way down to the end of your hip. Okay, so you give your straight line. So now we have gotten our under bust, our hip base and the length. Okay, so let's continue. Now we're gonna go and get our tummy. Okay, shoulder to tummy length. So be mindful of the measurements. You're working with length, hip base, under bust and tummy. Okay, so after making your lines, please make the lines visible so that you can see them. Okay, yeah, so you can see I'm making all the lines very visible and all of that. So now we have our under bust, our tummy and our hip line. That's the hip base, that's the hip line. Okay, so now we are getting our bust point. So if you can place your tape from the shoulder and get your bust point. That's, I think it should be 10 inches from shoulder to bust point, as in shoulder to nipples. But if you don't want to do it that way, you can count from under bust. From that under bust line, you count 3 inches upwards or 4 inches upwards, depending on the size of your bust. But the best way is to place your tape on the shoulder and direct it towards your nipples and get your bust point. So that is exactly what I've gotten now, and I'm also going to give my straight line. Okay, so before we go over to our shoulder to get our shoulder measurement, let's shape the dress. So I'm getting my bust divided by 2 and divided by another 2. That's divided by 4. Okay, whatever you get, that's your bust size, your bust measurement divided by 4. That is what I did now. And then you place your tape and add like 1 or 1.5 inches allowance. Exactly what I did now. Then here you can measure. You can also do your round under bust if you want, or you just measure your tummy. So I didn't place the round under bust measurement. I'm measuring tummy at once. So my tummy divided by 4 is what I did here. So I'm also going to place it there and add my 1 or 1.5 inches allowance or 2 inches allowance and give my mark. Then so we'll go over to the hips. Please, the hip line is not the hip base. Sorry for what I said previously. The hip line is different from the hip base. Okay, so the hip base is the end of your hip coming from your shoulder. Is the end of where your hip ends. Starting from your shoulder is your hip base. So now we're going to get our hip line. our hip measurement from the hip line. Okay, so now my hip measurement, my hip size divided by 4 is what I'm getting here. So I added extra 1.5 inches for it. So take note, hip line and hip base are not the same. Hip line is where your hip starts from, is the beginning of your hip from your shoulder, while the hip base is the end of your hip from your shoulder. So now I'm going to connect all the dots together, the hip line, the hip base, the tummy, the bust, the under bust. I'm going to connect all the lines together just like I'm doing so. So please don't forget to subscribe, share, like, save. Even if you don't want to share, you can save. Yeah, so now it's time for us to get our neckline. Okay, so you measure your neck, either you want the length, or me, I want it to be a high neck, so that's why I used 3 inches down, 4 inches width, 3 inches length, 4 inches width, or you can do 4.5, you can do 5, you can do any measurement depending on how you want the neck to be. I want the neck to be high. Like I said, I'm going to put flare at the chest region. Okay, so this is, I had to turn it around so that you can see what I'm doing at the neck. Okay, so after tracing out the neck, you place your tape there. Just like you won't place your tape from the beginning of the neck, you place it just where I place it, where you have gotten your mark, and then get your shoulder measurement. The shoulder I'm working with is 14 divided by 2, 7. Okay, now I remove 1 inches for shoulder slant. So now I'm going to connect all the lines. I'm going to make, yes, that shoulder slant line, and then I connect all the dots and cut so that we can get the actual shape of this beautiful gown. Okay, yeah, so this is me making my shoulder slant. Okay, and then we're not going to forget about the armhole. The armhole I'm going to be working with is 8 inches. You can work with 8.5, you can work with 9. It all depends on body size. Okay, yeah, so I've gotten my 8 inches already, so I'm going to use this my beautiful ruler to give the straight line, and then curve. After making the straight line, I curve. Yeah, okay, so we are going to go over now and do the cutting. Okay, so I flip my camera over to the other side again for a better view. So it's time for us to cut. We are starting from the length. This is the length. Okay, all the way to the hip line, to the shape, that's the tummy, and then the armhole. Just do your cutting. Okay, I trace out the neck, the shoulder. Oh, see my assistant. And then the arm. Yeah, so this is what your dress should look like after you have traced it out. So now we are going to get our the remaining fabric, fold it again into 2, and place this one on top of it and trace it out. Okay, so this is me adjusting the measurement, the shape, the curves, and all of that. Okay, so now we're getting the second fabric. We'll repeat the same process. We'll fold into 2. Now give it enough space because of zipper, because the back side is usually wider than the front because of that zipper allowance. So now we're getting the front part. Okay, just like I'm doing so, you place the front part. Don't forget to bring out your zip allowance like I did. So you can put 1 inch, you can put 2 inches, 1.5 inch for the zip allowance. Okay, so make sure everything is well arranged to avoid mistakes when you're cutting. Okay, so for those that have subscribed, thank you very much for showing me love. So we have traced it out. Now we're going to go over to the neck and also cut out the neck. I also want the back neck to be high, just like the front, but the back neck, I'm going to bring it down a little bit, just a little. Now we're going to open the back so that they will have two separate sides. The reason is because of the zipper allowance, or if you're going to put slit and zipper allowance, but most importantly the reason is for zipper allowance. So this is it now. Okay, so the back have two sides while the front have just one wide side. Okay, yeah, so now we are going to get the flay that I'm going to put there. I will gather it. I won't cut it like a flay. I will cut it just a straight cut. I'm using 11 inches measurement to get it. So I'm going to do 11 inches up, 11 inches down. Okay, so this is the first one that will go down, that will stay at the down. Then I'm going to measure another 11 inches again for the upper flay. Okay, so I'm going to gather it to make it form like a flay, but I won't cut it like a flay because I don't have much fabric to cut flay. So this, I'm going to also measure another 11 inches, trace it out, and also cut it. So because there are two, I'm putting the flay down and flay at the chest region. That's why I'm making it two. Okay, so now I'm going to go and trim my neck and put my darts. I'll put that both the front and the back of the dress and fold their neck, okay, and put their darts. And then, okay, so this is it. I've also put the zip. I have folded the neck. As you can see, the neck is neatly folded. The neck of the front has also been folded, and that has been put. Okay, I've put that on them. Now I'm going to put it right side to right side, just like I did now, and get my actual measurements, as in the shaping. So what we are doing now is the shaping stage. That's the stage we are into now. So I'm going to use my pin to hold the shoulder, so the fabric won't shift or slip off while I'm getting the shape measurements. Okay, that's why I'm pinning the shoulders. So after pinning, we'll cut out the armpit. You just place your tape and get 4 inches and cut, and now sew the sides all the way down. Okay, so this is it. Now I've folded the shoulders, the neck, and the arm. Okay, so now I'm going to use my tape and get 7 inches from the shoulder. That is where the chest flay will start from. 7 inches from the shoulder. Mind you, the shoulder, I had to get 4 inches measurement to trace out the armpit, so that the shoulder won't be too wide. Okay, so after getting 7 inches in the front, you flip it to the back and also get 7 inches, and now place that flay, that rectangular flay that we cut out the first time. Okay, and pin it. Now this is it. Okay, I've also folded the edges, the down part. I've turned it with my bias. So this is me now turning it. Just see the way I flipped it. Okay, I'm using pin to hold it together. I followed the line, the 7 inches line I measured. I followed the 7 inches line I measured to put all the pins. Now when you get to the armhole, make sure you give space. Make sure you give space at the armhole. You can measure your arm at once to know how many inches space you need to leave so that your hand can pass through. Okay, so initially I used 6 inches, but when I wore the dress, I discovered that 6 inches was too tight, so I had to adjust it to 9 inches. So I advise to use 9 inches. Also depends on your size, the size of your arm as well. So after pinning it round, you can see this is how it should look. I've pinned it round from the back to the front. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I look at the space, look at the arm space. Okay, I'm going to go to my sewing machine now, and so the same thing, you're going to do the same thing down. Okay, so you have to measure the down and know how many inches so that it will be equal with the flay you're putting down. Okay, you can see the flay. See everything is merging exactly with the measurement I placed on it earlier. So now you also pin it round as well. Okay, now I have finished the dress. I have sewn the down, the chest flay, the down flay. I have folded everything. You can see how neat it has turned out to be. Okay, so this is the space I made at the arm where my hand will pass through. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Now this is me wearing the dress, and I hope I didn't disappoint. So thank you for watching. Bye.